Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone out there in the wide world. Oh, man. What it do? What it be?
What it do? What it do?
Good moaning. Well, I'm not heating up any nails for any dabs, but I am doing the closest that I can approximate here in Louisiana. What's on my mind? I don't know, dude. I quite frequently don't know what's on my mind coming into these. In fact, I like coming into these not quite knowing what's on my mind. I guess in a general sense, just like a little depressed and detached because of Flash Fried today. Just like, you know, news is bad. News is bad all around. And, you know, the more we get into this like electoral cycle, the more trepidation I feel just for the, I don't know, general survival of our species. AKA another Wednesday, yeah. Just finished watching that. Shane Dawson got me like, yeah, dude. I can tell that TJ hadn't seen some of that shit because, like, when we first started going over Shane Dawson, he was like, man, dude just made some edgy jokes or whatever. Like, yeah, they're a little creepy, but they're just jokes. I was like, well, yeesh. Still 4 more months of election coverage. Aren't you excited, dude? We were talking a little bit about this on Flash Friday today too, but it's stuck in my mind. It's like a concept I was trying to get across to the guys, and I'm not sure if I did the best job. But it's like time has slowed down now because all the crazy shit that has started, you know what I mean? It's like before 4 months, you like, I remember thinking and talking about 4 months like, that's right around the corner. Dude, you have any idea how much crazy fucking nonsense can happen in 4 months during a pandemic, during all this political upheaval, all this societal upheaval. It's like, oh. Yeah, dude, you're talking about the Shane Dawson videos are genuinely like creepy and made my stomach feel not very good. Gave me that like sick feeling in my stomach. Are super chats messed up? Are they? They shouldn't be. They shouldn't be. Whatever. What's the vibe I'm on? I don't know, dude. I'm a little too old to know that. I'm ever so slightly too old to know that, the answer to that question. Warmed up the asp, and Highdeology is perfect exploration media. Oh. Heading out into the wild blue yonder and Elite Dangerous, eh? Well, guess I'm feeling a little low key. A little tired, maybe. I first read I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream back in I don't even remember when it was, honestly. It was a long time ago. It was in my 20s. Shane is a predator 100%. Solidarity now. Yes. I don't know about 100%, but yeah, solidarity. He definitely fucked up. Is a Paul not entitled to a stable psyche? Be nice. I like to think of Paul as someone's rich, eccentric grandfather during the Roaring 20s who just got back from exploring in Singapore. What? Tepid solidarity, yeah. I guess I must have discovered a whole lot of silks and spices, but I don't remember much of it. We picked up kimchi. Any advice? Die, live, and die again. Do you remember Tuesday? What? What's going on here tonight? What's with these like niche questions, you guys? Am I gonna have to do this with you guys again? Let's have an impromptu. What's a good question, and what's a bad question on Highdeology? No topics right now. We got to get this. We got to get this nailed out. I'm sure everybody's tired, but come on. You got to work with me here. All right. I'm only one dude. I only have so much. It's not even really about enforcement tonight, Asbestos Fingers, although you do whatever you want. You ban at will, but I'm telling you, man, what are they building in there? Yeah, we all deserve to know. Sorry, Paul. I think it's brain damage hour. I think you might be right. So, bad questions. Paul, what is your favorite X? Most bad questions begin somewhat like that. What is your favorite X? Because it's typically like what I think that the question would come off way lamer and fewer people would ask it if they asked what they really wanted to ask about it, which is your favorite the same as mine? My favorite is chocolate. So there's some weird like need to know if my favorites align with other people's favorites. And then, okay, so moving on to another bad question for Highdeology. Paul, what do you think about X? This is an even more direct plea to be agreed with, and that almost always sucks. Like, Paul, what do you think about Dune? Paul, what do you think about insert obscure indie fucking techno emo punk band that I'm into? Used to be the Death Grips. Yeah, and then what drug you done? I mean, there's some very, I don't know. They're just, these seem like common sense things to me, but they're not. So we got to go over them sometimes. We got to reteach. We got to relearn the basics. Opinion questions are fine if they're more like complex than what is your opinion on this movie that everyone's seen? You know what I mean? It's like the more meat that you put on the bone, like you guys know me well enough now to know what a good question and a bad question is, but you guys like sometimes you just load it up with bad questions. Sonic or Mario, there you go. Sonic. I was a Sonic kid. What can I say? I liked Super Mario. Why Sonic? 'Cause he goes fast. And yeah, I mean that's about it, but he goes really super fast. What drug you done? Why DP breakup? Why fat? Why have no pool? Basically what the chat is. Yes. You know, and it's doubly hard too because this is not like other streams. This is more like this is a lost art of streaming that we do here on Highdeology. This is old school shit where you just turn on your stream and you got no plan and you got no encumbrance. And it's just you and the chat locked in Mortal Kombat with one another. Why fat, dude? Why fat? Why dumb? Why filled with rhino cum? Why fart? Why pee? Why poop? Why he? Why she? Why thee? Why S? Why T? Why me? Why you? Why red? Why blue? Most streams are either gaming or topic focused. I mean, sometimes we end up with some like really topical streams. And sometimes I come into these with like, okay, I want to talk about X. but you don't really see very many, like, you know what I mean? Like there's all this like frills and shit. We got a contest going on tonight, and we gotta, you know what I mean? Some of you know what I mean, and some of you don't. Like, just like the energy that got, like, and I'm not saying energy is bad, but hey, what's up, everybody? We got a contest going tonight. We got a lot of things to talk about, so we better get right into it. You know what I mean? And like, and I'm not trying to make fun because, like, you know, a lot of people I like do that kind of streaming, but man, fuck, dude. I can't. I mean, I could, but it would suck. I'm much happier having way fewer people watching me. You know what I mean? And just doing what doesn't suck to me. Paul, I have to say, though, about Highdeology, not only is it rare to find a stream like this, but it's even rarer to have streams like this that are rewatchable. Well, I mean, not all of them are, though. See, I kind of was talking to TJ about this, and he and I, when it comes to streaming, we have two different kind of like philosophies, I guess. Not necessarily like disagreement, but just two different ways we tackle them. Like for me, I look at them as a challenge and like a proving ground, right? So when I do these streams, I'm like, okay, I feel like shit. Let's see if I can do a Highdeology. And it's a good distraction. It's a good way to get my mind to stop chewing on itself sometimes. And then it's also like a place where I try different shit out, you know? I let my mind get a little free with things. I create little characters. I do little bits. And I try things out. I sharpen up those improvisational comedic instincts. Sometimes we just talk, you know? And there's part of me, I guess, that feels bad. I don't know, maybe it's something we could talk about. There's part of me that like feels a little bad because Highdeology isn't designed the way that other shows are. Like, I feel like almost like I'm like I'm making a false promise to people. Because, you know, people that like me, they'll come and click on it. And what are the chances they've even made it to this point? Like, I've been streaming for like 20 minutes and rambling. Like, what are the chances they even sit down and make it to this point? There's a hardcore kind of group of people that watch and listen. And that's really who the show is for. And then the other people that come along are the people that like more structured content. They're not really included in that. Now, but the thing is that shit happens during Highdeologies in bursts that the mass public would love if it were chopped up. So we're starting to do that, slowly but surely, building up a bank of like Highdeology clips where I went on a good rant, or Highdeology clips where I really, you know, made up a funny character or died laughing at something. Or we're going to throw them up from time to time just on the DFF channel, just as a way to like cross-pollinate. But it's really hard to advertise to people who haven't given Highdeology a try, like what it is and what's attractive about it, and the ebbs and the flows, and like being okay. Because like I'm okay with the fact that there are some Highdeologies that like I wouldn't watch them. You know what I mean? Like most of them I think are worthwhile, but there are some that, like, nothing ever clicks and nothing ever really goes anywhere, and the jokes are few and far between. And it's just like, I do those every once in a while. Those happen when you got a show like this. And people, like the core group of folks, keeps coming back. You know what I mean? Because they realize that, oh yeah, that's just part of this. Paul had an off night, or Chat had an off night, or Paul and Chat had an off night. You know what I mean? You guys are willing to, like, accept the weird format to a certain extent. The problem is that most people aren't. Like, this stream will never get as many concurrent viewers as a TJ stream, because his philosophy is preparedness. Bullet pointed list, if not like some minor scripting for things that he wants to talk about. Finding these subjects and researching the subjects, and then putting together a show and covering these subjects in order. That's how TJ presents a stream. Now, he does Highdeology. Well, he used to do Highdeologies back in the day, and he still does, like, these style of streams for patrons. But I take these very seriously. For an unserious show, like, these are meaningful to me, because buried in here, in all these weird little talks, is my life philosophy. Like, those of you that are willing to fucking stick with me and joke around and fuck around and not force things have gotten to hear what stands as my life philosophy. The totality of my belief is here, wrapped up in these streams. Cool stories about your life are buried in here. The story about your boss, Kim, was great. Yeah. I was good about that, too. I didn't slip up and use real names. I came up with monikers and used monikers, and I did a good job. That's one of the problems about these, like, stories from my life, is I got to use monikers and shit. I got to come up with an Isaac Plumbo. TJ is definitely more of an entertainer in his streams. Sure. Yeah. I guess in these streams, like, I know that there are times when I am entertaining, but I'm not really trying to be an entertainer. Yeah, like, I'm trying to do that in the stuff that I make for you guys outside of this. You know what I mean? Like, that's, DFF and Flash Fried and the Grease Trap and the movie commentary stuff and the more polished shit. I mean, definitely the D&D stuff. That's Paul being a showman. I don't come here to be a showman. Now, there might be some showy shit that I do, and there might be some idea I want to try out here that's like that, but coming here expecting, like, I'm going to be entertained like a cable show or some shit. It's like, sorry, dude. Probably not. Paul, can you please unban my friend Maximus Smith? He didn't know about the unspoken rule about the one who must never be named. Maximus Smith is dude's name? Yeah. Yeah, I'll take care of it for you right now, bro. I always fucking forget where it is in YouTube Studio. I don't care. Yeah, I know you took away Classic Studio. Good for you. I think it's in, like, settings, community. Yeah. permissions, community, moderators. It's not in here. Fuck. I hate this shit. I wish there was just a really easy way. Maybe I just need to pull it up before every show. So that when people do this shit, like ask for this shit, I can just do it like real quick. Okay, I think I was right that it's in settings somewhere. I want to say it's in community. Defaults, no. Moderators. I don't even. Hidden users. Blocked. I thought this is where it was. Fuck me, dude. So stupid. What makes this show great for me is no matter how hard you try, I'll never find two streams with the same subjects, new conversations, new chat. Yeah. I mean, that's what keeps me coming back too, I guess. It's like, you never know when Paul is going to get stuck fruitlessly hunting through his settings. Wait a minute. I think this is why. Okay, never mind. I'm retarded. Somehow I got logged into a different fucking account. Whatever. One of my many sock accounts. I'm sitting here looking at it like it's the Highdeology account. Tisk, Paul. All right, so that one is settings, community. Come on, load it up, bitch. There we go. There's the moderators. All right, hidden users. Now I just got to do like a control F and do like Maximus. His name was Maximus. Maximus Smith, right? Can I confirm the name in the chat before? Well, it doesn't matter, whatever. I think that's it. It's the only Maximus in here. So boom, save. He's unbanned. Now I know where it's at. Now it'll be real quick for me to get this done. I've just got it open. So if that happens later, we can do it again. Have you ever wanted dreads? Like in the early 2000s, I considered getting white boy dreads. And then really like decided against it. Decided very heavily against it. I don't have many thoughts on Destiny. I don't know where he stands at any given time. I don't really follow him close enough to know much about him anymore. I was a fan of his back in the early days when he played a lot of StarCraft and shit. And like DayZ. But when he started doing the like, I'm a political streamer, I just kind of tuned it out. So I don't really know. Don't really care. I know you're a Nicholas Winding Refn fan. Do you think you'll give Too Old to Die? Oh, man. See, this is what I'm talking about, dude. That is a have you seen or will you? It's like, it's the worst, man. It's the worst. I thought there was going to be like a question or a topic buried in there, and it's just like a recommendation for a fucking movie. I'm in a bad and intolerant mood for shit tonight. Don't mind me. I've been sequestering myself away back here in the office for a couple of days because I'm just going through one of those like antisocial kind of times. I get so I like being around people as a rule, usually, especially, people that I know and care about and love and all that. But I get in these moods, not moods, I get in these headspaces where it's really hard for me to interact with people. I'm over analytical of it. I have a tendency to misinterpret it, and I have to work through this shit. But in my personal life, it's caused a lot of turmoil. It's not really, well, I mean, it might be a symptom of depression, but I've been this way since I was a very little kid. Like, I have an on switch and an off switch for socialization. And it's like, this to me is arm's length shit. This to me is in a whole separate category from what I'm talking about. Like, I might be sequestered away and not really talking to people much and still do these, and it doesn't feel like I'm doing the same thing. It's like person to person human contact can be really trying for me sometimes. I get frustrated, not necessarily even with the person, just with circumstances. And I got to have my time, dude. I got to have my, I don't know how else to put it. Like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, I guess, but it's a technical gripe, but antisocial is the term for being social. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. I was using it in the more colloquial term, but sure. Duly noted. Does doing these help or hurt? There are times like if I feel like doing these is not going to be good for me, I'm not going to do it. I don't do them. Like, when my headspace is wrong for this, I don't do these usually. And when you guys see me disappear for long stretches, like I did, I don't know how long I went, but there were pretty recently before I started doing these again. There was like a good, I don't know, what was it, 5-6 months where I basically did none. 3 months, yeah. So the dark times, the times we shall never speak of but yeah, I gave you a chance to miss what we do, You never know if you actually miss something until it's not around you. There are just times I'm not in the headspace for this shit. And, that for me is usually centered around anxiety in some way. Paul, how can you on the one hand keep up to date on the news and on the other hand accept that you can't change the world? You think I know the answer to that? It's not even a human question, dude. It's not like humanity is not, we did not evolve to know the problems of the entire planet. Our brains aren't equipped. So you're asking an unanswerable question. Our brains are equipped to care about our tribe. Our close family and the loose association of families that hunt and forage and gather, because for 90% of our fucking existence, that's what we were. We were not people that live in skyscrapers and have 24/7 access to every bad fucking thing going on in the world. I don't know. I don't think there's an answer to that. I don't really know about all the Project Veritas stuff. I know them as the people that did a hit piece on Planned Parenthood where they try to act like Planned Parenthood was throwing away baby arms in the trash and shit. It was ridiculous. So I know that they're a right-leaning kind of hit piece expose. You know, they're like TMZ, but with a solely political angle. But they have caught, like, you know, some people who are members of companies or whatever saying some pretty crazy shit. So, you know, I'm fine with them being out there. Do you think your personality is better equipped you than most during this pandemic / quarantine? See, I don't know. I don't know to what extent other people have been affected by it. So I don't know. Like, you know, if I sat down one-on-one and was just like went through how a person really felt, but like, can you even explain that? Like, this is different for everybody. This hits everybody different. And I don't know if I have it any easier or any worse than anybody else does. Yeah, I'll try and like, because I can easily mute myself now. I'll try and not vape drag into the mic anymore. So you sensitive snowflakes can not have to hear it. I don't blame you, I guess. I just worry for your health. Well, I'm vaping so I don't smoke, so. If you really want to get back into acting, I can recommend Backstage. It's pretty cheap, and it can hook you up with work from home opportunities. Okay. Backstage, huh? I have a feeling I'll like end up reading like weird audio porn or something. Oh, I'm thrusting. If you could move to any country, I get this question all the time, and there really is no answer to it. There are some countries I might consider moving to, but the truth of the matter is that I'm probably gonna die right here in the United States. Immigrating to another country, especially when you don't really have a job that is applicable to that country's needs. Like, it's not like I'm a doctor, you know. I knock on Sweden's door and I go like, hey, I want to be a Swedish citizen, or I go to fucking Australia or New Zealand or something and like, hey, I want to be a New Zealander. And they're like, all right, mate, what is it that you bring to the table? You a doctor? Lawyer? City planner? You know, and I'm just like, well, I'm a robo-communist, futurist, neckbeard Diogenes disciple that pathologically hates authority and pathologically distrusts all those who serve it. Well, come right in, mate. Yeah, we got a slot for one of your types opened up just last week. It's like, huh? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Obviously, I wouldn't try and sell myself that way, but I mean, if they go watch what I do, they're going to see that that's what I am. You know what I mean? The didgeridoo, yeah, man. I want to play the didgeridoo. Plus, I don't know how bad culture shock would get to me. Like, I'm fucking American, dude. Say what you want about me. Politically, philosophically, I'm out there. But I'm a product of fucking America, dude. I was weaned on American pastimes and American food and American culture and American entertainment. I had two very American parents. Was raised with very American ideas in a very American broken household. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how I would adjust to going to a place that's completely not that type of culture, you know? Maybe that's why you're so messed up. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. Blame it on the culture. They show American movies in every country, sure, but like, do you grow up also with the knowledge that those movies are made in your country and that you could go to the place where those movies are made and be in them someday? And see what I mean? It's a different thing. Like, yeah, American culture radiates everywhere on the planet, but there's nothing like being here. Paul's a nationalist? No. I'm just explaining like the peculiarities of being an American. Like, I'm explaining to people the difference, because like I'm saying, I was raised on American food, and people are like, there's American food everywhere. It's like I'm trying to explain to them the difference between having access to American food and growing up in a place where that was all you ate, you know? You got American food, yeah. They show Rambo in Liberia, so like you're basically like this. It's like, no, dude. Yeah, Paul explains he's an American. Someone in chat calls him a nationalist. Of course, dude. But of course. Paul is a nationalist, but also a socialist. Hey, I see what you're calling me. I'm smart enough, dude. I'd had enough schooling to know what it is you're calling me, sir. Somebody always asks for a beard smell check. Sure, I'll give you one. Hold up. Ooh. Oh, man. Wow. It's got like a spice to it. Like there's like a cinnamony kind of almost earthiness to it. And like a little bit of like, I don't know, like air where there's pine trees, if that makes sense. Like if you've ever been in a place where like evergreen trees are abundant in the cold morning and you've stepped outside and you smell that smell in the air, it's a little bit of that. Hold up. Oh, thank you, honey. Yeah, you're right. I do need to order more beard oil. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, like a little bit of like a fresh baked bread kind of smell. That kind of like almost buttery kind of. There's a hint of that. Is beard smell check some kind of kink? Yeah, for somebody probably. For somebody, probably, yeah, it is. It's probably a kink. For me, it's just like nice having a beard. I like smelling it. It always smells good. So, are you straightening your hair now? No. My hair is very strange. Like, it's hard to explain, dude. I don't want to talk about my hair all fucking night. But let me just say that, like, I have a newfound respect for women that keep their hair long because hair is very strange. Like, my hair is super flat right now because it's humid as fuck today. And I've been in and out. So there's not a lot of floof to it. But I'm not straightening it at all. It's still curly as all. Look at this. See what I mean? Look at this shit. Hair is what it is, dude. Somebody in the chat recommended that I get myself some like dry shampoo. That's supposed to be good to have if you have long hair. So I'm probably going to get some of that. Shirley Temple ringlets, yeah. Oh, God. What was that song Shirley Temple was famous for singing? On the good ship, lollipop, it's a sweet trip to the candy shop. Yeah, my hair just does that. It grows for a certain length, and then it wants to do this. And it just turns into ringlets. Animal crackers in my soup. Monkeys and rabbits loop the loop. Doodle doo doo doo. Would you consider doing some audiobook readings of some of your favorite books? Audiobook readings? I don't know what that exactly means. Like, you mean listening to an audiobook or like me reading some of my favorite books, audiobook style? Have you ever seen the video of Kermit the Frog and Big Bird smoking weed? Get out of here, man. Everybody, like, I don't need to see it. Everybody knows those two are smoking. Like, that was implicit in the show. I knew that when I was a kid, that those two were together and they were smoking. Yeah, of course. Of course they get it from Oscar. Oh my God. Why do you think he lives in the trash can? It's not because he has no money. It's because he's like right there on Sesame Street all the time. So it's real easy to go over there and like go, hey, Oscar, what's up? And do the hand to hand. Gonzo, I mean, I think we all know Gonzo was fucking chasing a different fucking type of high. You know what I mean? On the methier end of things. But whatever, you know, Oscar didn't judge. Well, Oscar was always good for it. You know what I mean? Oscar the plug, yeah. Cookie Monster, yeah. Cookie Monster was his big edible. I mean, you could tell Cookie Monster was probably his number one weed customer. Because Cookie Monster's always got the munchies, something fierce. Gonzo always reminds me of those aliens from Heavy Metal who would snort giant vacuum machine lines of coke. Yeah. Oscar is also a Diogenes disciple, a much closer one than I. I'm sitting here surrounded by my creature comforts and shit, you know. Diogenes would look at me and fucking scoff. Paul, if you could time travel but only had a one-way ticket, would you go back or to the future? I would heavily consider doing neither, honestly. Like, the actual implications of time travel or something, especially one-way ticket style time travel, or something that not a lot of people think about. You know what book that, and it's going to sound fucking funny, but the book that really got me thinking about that was Timeline by Michael Crichton, which was made into a pretty horrible movie, but is actually a pretty good book. If you're not one of those people that's going to like poo-poo all the like fuzzy science and shit in it, if you're the type of person that can like suspend disbelief long enough to actually enjoy the conceits in a fucking book, it's a good book. But long story short, in that book, somebody gets stuck kind of back in time, and this team of people has to train for months and months and months to speak and act like peasants and shit from that time. It's like, you know, they're going back to like 14th or 15th century France. And so like they have to train and shit, and they go back, and it's just like most of the book is them realizing what an alien world it is. Like, they're literally coming to terms with the fact that even though they're looking around and they're surrounded on all sides by human beings, because the culture is so different than the one that they're used to, they're complete and utter aliens there. And so that would be true no matter which way you went. So if I went 300 or 400 years into the future, which would be cool, yeah, it'd be cool to see all the stuff they have, but I would be completely lost there. You know, Demolition Man, kind of jokingly but interestingly from a philosophical standpoint, explores this idea as well. You know, the Demolition Man is brought back to fight his old enemy, but he's brought back into a society where he just absolutely, there's nothing about it that even speaks to him. Everything is alien to him. His expectations and desires are different because he was raised in a different culture. So, yeah, I would really heavily consider, especially the one-way ticket, doing neither. Because you're really relegating yourself to like, well, everything I know about being a human being is about to go out the window, and I'm going to have to learn an entirely new way of life, one way or the other. Like, there's no, I guess if I went back like a shorter distance, but I would never do that. Like, if I went back, I'd want to see some shit that was like pre-technological. I'd want to go to the medieval times or fucking the Renaissance times or early colonial times or, you know, ancient Egyptian times. Like that's the type of shit that I'd want to see. But I'd probably be beheaded in most of those places immediately for being a raving lunatic or thrown in some fucking horrible sanitarium. And then if I go into the future, it's like, you know, I'm just like the Demolition Man. I'm wiping my ass with a seashell and missing the feel of fucking toilet paper on my ass and lamenting the loss of hot dogs or eating entirely and lamenting the loss of any video games or, you know, who knows what the fuck they'll have, you know, and the future may be horribly dystopian too. Like, we have no clue. So there's another problem with your one-way ticket idea. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go 400 years into the future. Oops, I just landed in the middle of the most fucking horrible dystopia you could possibly imagine. Misery is the fucking main commodity now, and it's mined efficiently by just one giant mega corporation. And the air is unbreathable, and life expectancy is about 20 for the lower class. Yeah, you land there. You know what I mean? And you're like, one-way ticket. Fuck. Oh, yeah, you're right about that, babe. Immune system unprepared. But they got around that in timeline. Like, they gave them, like, all kinds of immune boosters and shit. Like, they inoculated them against a lot of the local diseases. And they had some scientific woo-woo, you know, to explain away all that shit. But, yeah, it's a leap of faith either way. I would say if I consider doing it at all, I might go back and be, like, in my 20s in the 60s. I think that would be pretty fucking dope. That would be pretty fucking cool. I think I would fit in pretty well in that culture, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'd get there and be like, oh my God, it sucks. There's no air conditioning anywhere. Everybody reeks. What the fuck have I done? Go back and see the dinosaurs. Yeah. Join the Manson family. Psst. Go take it over. I'd have them kill fucking Charlie first. I'd have done way better with the Manson family. He was stupid. Dude was incompetent with his cult. Wasted them. The children of the salt. Someone from the 1980s going forward in time and seeing masks and everyone in 2020 would be weird. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's going to be an element of culture shock no matter how far you go, as long as it's not a time that you've been alive, you know? Like if you go to a time before you were alive, you're going to deal with culture shock. And if you go that length of time, like 40 years into the future, if I were to say, okay, well, let's take a smaller skip into the future then. Let's take like a 40 or a 50-year skip into the future. I just got, like earlier on, I was talking about this idea that stuck with me today from Flash Fried that time moves slower now because every day is a possible like day where we learn some horrible new fact. And, you know, think about compounding that by going back in time to a place that you've never been and all of those moments that will have happened for those people that you know nothing about. Get COVID and go back in time with it. Holy shit. They'd probably deal with it better, honestly. I have a feeling that like 1950s or 40s America would probably have dealt with COVID way better, but maybe I'm wrong about that. I feel like if given a choice to go in the past or the future on a one-way time traveling trip, most people would choose to go in the future. Yeah, they might be damning themselves to a horrible fate, though. You know, the dystopia might be real, or maybe they go like, I want to go 200 years in the future, and they just show up and it's rubble, and there's not a human being alive. It's just like nuclear rubble and horrible like mutated coyotes and shit. They just die a horrible screaming death, the last human presence on a planet that forgot about humans 100 years before. Yeah, so, man, it's just too much of a dice roll, man, with the one-way ticket. You could go and take a peek and then come right back, then, yeah, it'd be cool to, you know, experiment. I'd, you know, do that as much as possible, but this idea that you go and you got to stay wherever you land. I'm not fucking betting on no fucking utopia. Dude, I see the way the wind is blowing. Dude, 50 years into the future might be horrifying. I know you can't read all chats. Still love you, Paul. I try and read all the super chats, man. If I missed one, I'm sorry. I'll go back and look. I do have them. I do have it open. I do. I have a terrible fucking habit of not reading super chats. So, but I try. Would you want to go into space? Yeah, I'd be way more open to something like that. I'd be way more open to going on like some one-way space mission. For sure. I don't know that I would do it, but I'd be open to it for sure. Hey, Paul, I left my girlfriend for her best friend, and I'm finally happy. Good for you, sad for her. Yeah, what if you land in like a horrible vault, like a Fallout vault where they're doing some horrifying social experiment? That'd be some shit. Dude, there's this game that I'm thinking pretty heavily about getting on Steam about salvaging. It's like a space salvage game where it's like first person and it's your job to like cut apart and salvage these big wrecked spaceships and space stations and shit. And I think it's on sale, but it's kind of new, so it's not super on sale. That sounds like my kind of thing. You guys are right. I am a jaded asteroid miner. Go back in time, make Delaney the dim nominee. I don't think even my fucking prescience could have helped with that. I don't think anything was going to help make Delaney the nominee. That was kind of the point. So it was true of him and so many other people that we had to sit and listen to for fucking months and months and months. If you could move to any country you wanted, like Sweden, and all you had to do was become skinny, would you do it? Not ripped, just average. I mean, if that's all they were asking, I think I could probably fucking do it, yeah. That would be more attainable than, you know, some of the requirements of getting into other places are. So I think I could handle that. Stream some games, Paul. I'd like to see that sometimes. Maybe I will. Yeah. How do you feel about game streams? I don't know, man. I'm conflicted about them because I feel the need to be way more showman-y when I'm playing a game because I'm really not talking, you know, a lot. So you know, you gotta put a little more spice into a game stream. Yeah, I've been playing some games, man. Playing some games. I've already beaten Disco Elysium. It's a good game. Right up my alley, that game. Yeah, I was playing Streets of Rage 4 at the end of one of the streams recently. So I've been playing a little of that. I recently got some games during the summer sale on Steam. I got Star Wars Battlefront 2. I was telling TJ the other day, I'm playing through the single player of Star Wars Battlefront 2, right? There's this character, Iden Versio, who is like this, she's the leader of this like crack stormtrooper team. Like they're like, you know, super squad or whatever the fuck. And her story, as I'm watching it unfold, it's not great. It's not like the best thing I've seen in a video game. But I'm sitting there thinking, like, this is more entertaining and more engrossing and feels more like Star Wars than anything that happened in the recent trilogy. And that's really sad because the game, like the story is pretty run of the mill, but like it was actually interesting. It was like a perspective you hadn't seen before. It was kind of what I was hoping Finn would be, where she starts out as this like brutal, unrepentant killer because she believes in the Empire, and then her faith in the Empire is shaken. There's actually this really cool scene. It's like a different perspective of the Death Star blowing up, where she's on Endor with her crew and fighting off the rebels and shit who are trying to stop the Death Star. And, you know, in their minds, victory is assured because they know the Death Star is, you know, impenetrable and it can't be destroyed. And so they're just like, they're there very smugly, her and her crew, and the rest of the stormtroopers are there very smugly, cleaning up the rebels and, you know, stopping them from sabotaging this, that, or the other. And then all of a sudden you hear this gigantic sound in the game, and there's a cutscene, and Iden Versio and her team turn around and they see the Death Star in the sky breaking apart. And there's this, it's a really effective moment. It was cooler than anything in the Star Wars movies, because they were just like, it's like you could see in their faces the realization that like the Emperor just died. Like, we just lost. How did we lose? We had a fucking moon that could destroy a planet. How did we lose? That wasn't, you know, like, it was great. Like, it was a great moment. And it was just like, man, if they wanted to like set another Star Wars story in the time, why didn't they make movies like that? Like, why can the video game makers write moments like that feel like Star Wars? And the people that wrote the movies couldn't, you know what I mean? It was fucking cool. It was phenomenal. And then there's like a scene where you're flying through the wreckage in your TIE fighter. So you have to escape. It goes from like suppressing the rebels on Endor to now like, holy fuck, the tide has turned in the battle. We've got to escape Endor. It's just like a really great, like, that, especially the beginning parts of it were like, wow. Great storytelling, interesting perspective in a video game, like buried in the single player in a video game that's mostly about its multiplayer. What do you want to see in Elder Scrolls 6? So I'm pretty sure from what they've teased, we're going to see the High Elf lands, Altmer, or whatever the fuck it's called. I personally want to see like Black Marsh and Elsewhere done in a like either one of those settings in a given the full treatment. I think would be awesome. Yeah, Somerset Isles, yeah. That's 99% what I'm sure we're going to get. I think that the next one is going to be set in Somerset Isles, which has potential to be really cool. You know, it's going to be a different kind of game than Skyrim was, a different kind of wilderness, different kind of lore, different kind of local wildlife and quests, and, you know, different kinds of NPCs. And so, you know, it's not going to be bad, but I'd really love to see it set in Black Marsh or Elsewhere. Oh man. See, it's happened. It's happened. Skyrim's DLCs were tons of fun. Excuse me, that's cool. Yeah, the fave questions and my personal franchise questions and shit.
How do you feel about this game that just recently came out that I'm enjoying? I must see how he feels. I wonder if he agrees with me.
I was excited about the rumor of it being Valenwood. Yeah, I don't know where Valenwood is supposed to be. So, yeah, dude. Plebs are walking on fucking thin ice tonight. Listen to them. Paul, do you think Skyrim favorite, Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Doom favorite, Mario Elite Dangerous, Cinema for Cynics favorite movie song band? It's the best question I've ever been asked. Yeah, Ultima was a cool game, man. There was really no shit like that. It was that element that allowed you to fuck with people that made that game interesting. And there's very, very few, if any, games that really allow that level of shit. And I don't know why. Like, I don't know why there's not more games that allow that kind of PvP. Because I think that it would be great to see a AAA title, vie for, World of Warcraft's throne by presenting a completely different, darker, at least darker in terms of what you're allowed to do to other people. I mean, maybe it's more cartoony. I really don't care. Like, the graphics to me, like, I look at old UO graphics and I think they're charming, but they look like shit, if I'm honest. Like, the graphics, I've never been about graphics. So make it weird, make it, lighthearted and cartoony-ish, or, not super grimdark or whatever, so it appeals to the World of Warcraft base, but allow for, like, there was this game, I'll tell you guys about this game. It ended up coming out and it sucked. It was stripped of all these features, but there was this game called Darkfall Online. Back in the day when Ultima was dying because of they split the server into PvP and non-PvP servers, and so there was nobody to prey on anymore. So a lot of us were leaving Ultima. This game, Darkfall, I think that was the name of it, came along. And the shit they were announcing was the most exciting shit. It was like your character class, it was all based around PvP. Like, it was all, here's how they sold it. It was all supposed to be based around PvP. You'd have these keeps and towns and shit that guilds or even small groups of players could hold. They would give benefits. And all of the player classes were focused towards PvP. And some of them were just insanely cool sounding. Like, the one I wanted to be so bad was a were-rat. So spies were a big deal because obviously, the bigger guilds are going to have these big castles and shit. And all communication was going to be done within earshot, just like in Ultima. So that people, if they wanted to meet in the game, they were going to have their talks and discuss their plans. And there were going to be like plans that they had to make in order to deploy things that you could steal as a spy. I wanted to be a spy. And so were-rats were people that were able to turn into rats and find little security holes in the enemy compound and either get intel on how many people are in there, or get intel on what the battle plan is, or maybe sabotage the gate or something. I mean, I was just like, for me, the way that they made that sound, it sounded so fucking amazing. I was so there for it, and it never happened. I mean, were-rats, I know people are laughing at were-rats, but I mean, I'm trying to give you an idea of, like, because you could be a straight up brawler type of guy, and there were all kinds of different ones too. It wasn't just like one fighter, like all kinds of different brawlers. It was like the bare knuckle kind of fist based brawler. It's like a more ninja type. There's a barbarian berserker type. You know what I mean? There were all kinds of rogues. The were-rat was just one of the rogue types. There were rogues that were more about assassination and rogues that were more about straight up combat. and there were healers, and and every class had different combinations and flavors of stuff that they could take to make them completely different, and all of their abilities were meant for either using on a friendly person to help them or using on a hostile person to hurt them. Right. There was tons of that type of shit. Shapeshifters and crazy shit. Yeah, I want to scheme. I want to sabotage shit. I want to gain people's fucking trust and then betray them. I want to operate on the fringes of these societies and get a name for myself, but really just be there to loot and steal and be kind of a wanderer and an unaffiliated person. That's how I want to. I want a game environment that supports that kind of play, and there just hasn't ever been one. It turned out to be a bad game because all of that went away. It became at that time, EverQuest was the big MMO, and it's the game that basically World of Warcraft ripped off in terms of its presentation and shit. So it became another like EverQuest, where you had just one, different character archetypes, and you leveled them up by going out and slicing up, baby rats and baby giraffes and shit. Just the same garbage you do in every fucking MMO to level. And they gutted the PvP out of it. Like, it was all optional, and it was just like, oh, okay. I mean, yeah, that type of depth and choices, you find it in single-player RPGs, but it's just not the same, man. Like, knowing there's another person, knowing that you're pitting your mind and skill and whatever the fuck, your guile against another person, there's no fucking replacement for that in gaming. There just isn't, for me. Like, that to me is the pinnacle. And I don't even want to kill them. Like, I'm not about, like, hey, test your mettle. I want to try and outsmart them. I want to try and grift them out of their money. I want to steal from them and get away. And, there's definitely room for that kind of play style in a more modern game. The fact that it really hasn't been done right, except for EVE Online, but EVE Online is still restricted as fuck. I mean, most of the people that play EVE Online play it with pretty much 100% assurance they can't be killed. And yet they're rich and they own all these fucking badass ships and shit. So EVE Online is still a haven for fucking Care Bears and shit. That's what we used to call people. That was our derogatory term for people that didn't like PvP, was Care Bears. And so it's a Care Bear haven where, if you're in high sec in EVE Online, which is high security space, you can't really be killed. And you can just kind of, farm these high-level missions and do all the PvE shit and get all your gear and get super rich and super powerful. And you're really never exposed to any kind of PvP at all. So, Paulie D, checking in at work, my dude. Hey, what up? Well, thank you for the $1.99. I appreciate that. I hope your work night goes well and safely and all that jazz. I mean, I don't know, dude. It just seems like there's always something in these games that tout the PvP system. There's always something that is made for Care Bears. It's like, oh, you keep all your shit when you die. And all you get is like honor points for killing people. That's how WoW did it. So I was kind of stoked for WoW because it had PvP servers. And I was like, well, shit. I can be a rogue and I can rob people, threaten to kill them if they don't send me this much gold and shit. Like, I had this in my mind. And, of course, World of Warcraft is nothing like that. PvP is utterly meaningless. Dying is utterly meaningless. Unless you're at like super high levels and you've got all these expensive fucking hard to get buffs on and you're about to go raid. If you die to PvP then, but that's so niche. World of Warcraft basically has no PvP. World of Warcraft has gotten significantly better in the past few years. See, I feel the opposite. Like, I actually kind of liked classic World of Warcraft. I know they recently re-released it, but I have no intention of playing World of Warcraft ever again, so that's just a personal choice. But, yeah, I had a lot of fun in early days of World of Warcraft, and then as it got more and more fucking autopilot-y, like, I tried some different expansions. I tried all of them pretty much up and through, I think the last one I got was Mists of Pandaria. And I spent about a week playing a character in Mists of Pandaria, and I was like, okay, I'm done. So I've been checked out since then. Don't really care. Don't want to play it. Don't care to play it. Just boring. Did you ever raid hardcore? No. That was part of the problem is, like, I understand, like, that's fun. I've seen, like, I like watching people raid sometimes because it's fun to watch a little bit, but, like, partaking in that shit, I'm not there for that. It's too cooperative. It's too forced. It's too, no, man, it's bullshit. I want to kill people. Yeah, it's just like a clicker heroes game with more things to click. Like, I don't want that shit, man. I want, like, there to be smarts involved. I want to be able to be to exist by guile. I've got this MMO idea for, like, an Old West MMO that'll never get made because of for one, it would be considered racially insensitive or whatever the fuck, which is stupid. But I want to do, like, a Wild West MMO where, you know, there are no real NPCs. Like, NPCs are only placeholders for actual people. So if you want to be like an entrepreneur, you want to go out west and run like a fucking hardware store or some shit, you could pick one of these towns, you know, that already exists and buy a lot and set up your hardware store, and players would come and there'd be this whole economy, you know, and you'd get the materials or buy them from somebody else and mark them up for. So you're getting the depth of it so far. Let's say that you wanted to be more of like a lawman or whatever. Maybe you want to play like the sheriff. So that's what you do. I mean, you sign up, and the early part of your game is serving in like the Civil War military. Maybe there's that little mini game is going on constantly, and you kind of learn the ropes of the game there. Once you've accumulated enough experience there, you can go out to one of these little towns and become a deputy or something. And you know what I mean? Maybe you want to found the town. So you get together with a group of players, and you go find some wilderness spaces, and you found a little town. You make a new town, make a new trade route. See, but overarching all of this is, if you want to, you can also play as a Native American or an American Indian. So some players are going to choose to play on the Cowboys side of things, you know, where they're setting up these towns. Some players are going to choose to play on the American Indian side of things and still deal with and take part in those towns, as a lot of American Indians did. And some are going to be like, you know, Comanches and shit. They're going to be the tribes that are like, fuck you, get off our land. You're not setting up a new town here. Think about how fucking awesome that could be. There could be like wanted posters that are actual like facsimiles of your character, you know, and people could take out bounties on you. Bounty hunting would be a profession. Of course, highway robbers would be a profession. People that stick up banks and shops, and it'd be incumbent on the law enforcement in the town to take them out. I mean, it sounds fucking great. Yeah, like hardcore Red Dead Online, where it's like death matters. You lose your shit, you know what I mean? Or maybe you even have to create a new character. Maybe it's permadeath or some shit. I don't know. I mean, I guess that's the question, right? How would death work? So in Ultima, when you died, all your corpse stayed on the ground and anybody could loot it. and take whatever was on you at the time you died, and you came back as a ghost, and you had to go find a shrine, and you were resurrected. So maybe we weave in some mysticism or something, right? Where when people die, it's kind of the same thing that happens in that new pirate game, Sea of Thieves. So when you die in Sea of Thieves, you're transported to the afterlife. You're on this ghost ship with a bunch of other souls, and you wait out your timer or whatever there, and then the door opens and you can go back and you get your body back. So something like that, you know. We weave some weird Native American mysticism into it, and it's like, you know, you come back when you die, but you don't have any of your stuff. Sometimes dead is better. It's an old burial ground up there. I'm telling you. What puts in the ground there comes back harder and meaner with something missing. Life is always boring. Why would you want to recreate it for a game meant for entertainment? Because, like, we're talking about a different type of life. I'm not talking about, like, simulating sitting at a fucking cubicle or whatever. Although I do have an idea for, like, an MMO that's like a far future MMO, too. Based around kind of the same principles, honestly. But I've always been in love with the Shadowrun setting, so I thought of, like, a Shadowrun Online where you could be a businessman, you could be the CEO of a corporation if you work your way up to it. You could be just a lowly street kind of runner type of guy that does violence for cash. You could be a cop. You could work with the cops and respond to these break-in attempts. You could be a hacker and, you know, work on the digital side of things. And, of course, every one of these play styles would have a player that opposed it. So it would be the job of the police, you know, to stop the hackers. It would be the job of the counter, you know, digital ops guys to stop the hackers, and the police to stop the stick-up men and to bust the corporations and stuff that are funding that type of shit. And, of course, the corporations would constantly be kind of working with and against the cops and with and against the gangs and kind of playing things to make the most profitable for them, fighting against one another and using mercenaries and stuff. I mean, there's so much gameplay there and so much potential for exactly the type of game that I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Where it's really like the players are trusted, I guess, to police themselves. Paul, you're basically describing Minecraft. Okay. I'm describing Minecraft. Whatever. Shut up. You have no profile, so I assume you're just trolling. I assume you're not as dumb as you seem. But you are too dumb to give yourself a profile pic.
I mean, Paul, aren't you just describing rock, paper, scissors, man?
Yeah, kind of. Just Shadowrun, you know what I mean? Like a far gritty future cyberpunk reality where you start as a citizen and it's like your choice where you go. You could go work for a corporation as a runner and work your way up through the fucking ranks, you know what I mean? Doing robberies and being a gopher and, you know, run this over to these guys and talk to these guys for us and, you know, run slowly but surely kind of working your way up through the corporate ladder. Or you could be like a freelancer type of guy that hires himself out to the corporations and the gangs and the protest movements and stuff, you know, as like a mercenary. Or you could be a member of any of those gangs or movements and decide to throw your lot in with trying to expand their territory and control, or working your way up through the ranks of them, you know. be a cop trying to stop all this chaos from happening and equipped with better firepower and stuff, but fewer members, obviously. It's like the beat goes on, man. It sounds like a great fucking game. And I think that the concept is sound, and I think that if they made that game, if they actually poured the money into that game, they'd make fucking tons of money on it. They could microtransact the hell out of it with fucking visual upgrades and shit. Release fucking expansions, charge a monthly fee. You know what I mean? There's money to be made there. They just don't really seem to want to invest the money that it would take to get it. We force Paul into prostitution in this game? Yeah, if you can get one up on me. Because I'll be there living like a homeless guy that just loots you fucking stupid runners as you kill each other in the streets. I run up and loot your pockets while your friends are still fighting. That's how I makes me money. Anarchy Online was similar to what you were saying. Nah, it really wasn't. It was. I remember Anarchy Online was sold as that, but Anarchy Online at release was, number one, it was almost unfucking playable. I played Anarchy Online at release because it was sold as this like very free, very open MMO, but really it slowly but surely just morphed into EverQuest. And a really bad EverQuest, too. So, no, it wasn't. I don't know. I think I'm overestimating the willingness of game, like the actual game CEOs of gaming companies and the gaming companies themselves to be brave enough to release such a risky and expensive project. I think there's plenty of talented fucking game developers out there. Like, I think there's no shortage of that. It's just they're being asked to work on safe shit. Like, somebody asked me earlier, what do you think about The Last of Us 2? And it's just like, look, I'm sure it's a good game or whatever, but it's safe shit. We've seen it before. We've played it before. It's a third-person, over-the-shoulder, fucking looter-shooter. Safe shit. Who's trying something new? Who's fucking really changing it up, you know? Very few. Very few gaming companies are trying. It's really hard to code what you're talking about. Yeah, but World of Warcraft exists. They coded it back in the fucking 90s. Ultima Online fucking came out in like 98. Or 97 or 96 or some shit. You're telling me they just can't do it now. It's just like bullshit. Yeah, it's complicated. I'm not saying it isn't. It would be hella expensive. They would have to employ a lot of fucking really talented people and artists and coders and, you know, game testers and debuggers and all these people and shit. But if they put in the fucking effort in the front end and made a great game, there'd be fucking tons of people that would play the game. Yeah, and they don't want to give proper salaries to the coders to make everything risky. Yeah. There are tons of people that play not great games, so if someone made something complex and great, it would attract lots of eyes. Yep. That is very true. Oh, dude, the can't do attitude has taken over America. We can't. It can't be done. It's too hard. It's too complex to code what you're talking about. It's like people that don't even know what they're talking about just feel the need to like immediately neg every idea. And it's just like, man, I'm so glad to be a futurist. I'm so glad that at the very least I have faith in humanity's ability to do some crazy shit. And it would not be that much of a stretch to make the type of game that I'm talking about. There definitely, the talent is out there. The precedent is there. It just isn't made that way. Games aren't made that way. You know what else is an incredibly fucking complex game that requires tons and tons and tons of developers employed full-time working on it? World of Warcraft. I mean, World of Warcraft has incredibly complex game systems, all interwoven in a fucking almost seamless world now. With cross-server capability, like you can go run through dungeons with people that aren't even on the same server as you. I mean, it's an incredibly fucking complex game. But there it is. I remember Fortnite. I saw somebody streaming Fortnite before it became what it was, and Fortnite was like a zombie survival game. Like the building in Fortnite was meant you were supposed to build a fort and hold off waves of zombies with your friends. That's what the game was. And the battle royale part of it was kind of like an afterthought, and now that's all it is. It's, you know what I mean? Yeah, Subnautica is good, yeah. I've played it. I actually streamed some of it on this channel for a couple of streams, some long ass late night into the early morning type of streams. It's good. Kind of a nerve-wracking game for me. I tend to get pretty scared in games, and like I'm particularly scared of giant underwater things that should not exist, so it's a little bit of a spooky game for me, but whatever. It's like with mobile games. You don't even see these big blockbuster movies get tie-in video games anymore because companies can make just a tiny mobile game with in-app purchases, of course. And it's all just like a clone of like Clash of Clans or whatever. Help the Avengers take over New York City. Set up an Avengers tower and train your Avengers to fight wave after wave of the Chitauri Menace. It's like, oh. And you download it, and it's fucking Clash of Clans. And you're like, oh. My favorites are always single player horror. Yeah, I like playing them, but man, I get real scared of them. Join now and get 100 mutagen points and 3 free levels on your starting hero. Play for free. Avengers Battle for New York. Yeah. Anyway, I'm tired. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this. Sorry it was kind of a low energy Highdeology. Oh, why am I apologizing? Fuck you. We sat here and we talked. And we'll do it again, too. You know why? Because it never stops. It never fucking stops.